Hello, this is Jo from Maths Tutor Me. Today we're doing some expansion with algebra. For the last few lessons we've been learning about different binomial expansions. The first lesson we looked at expanding two brackets where the two brackets had completely different things inside them, and we learnt that if we follow the steps in FOIL that we could expand those brackets. The next lesson we learnt about perfect squares, which is when we have, it looks like one bracket, but it's really the same bracket times by itself. And we learnt a shortcut to expand that. And then after that, we learned about the difference of two squares, which is when we have the two brackets that look pretty much the same. They are exactly the same, except for one has a plus sign in between and one has a minus sign in between. So today what we're going to do is we're going to do some questions that involves each of those different types of expansion. And we will need to try and work out which type of expansion to do when. So let's have a look at these questions. Question 1. 4x minus 1 and 4x plus 1. Those brackets are the same, except this one is a minus and this one is a plus. This makes this question a difference of two squares question, where the middle two terms are going to cancel out. So all I have to do to expand this is times the first in the bracket with the first and first. So 4x times 4x is 16x squared. And then I just need to do the last and the last. Minus 1 times a plus 1 is minus 1. Okay, looking at question 2. 5 outside of x plus 1 and another bracket x plus 2. Well, if we forget about the 5 for a second, I have x plus 1 and x plus 2. They're two brackets. They're not the same. They're not similar at all there. So I need to do a FOIL expansion with those two brackets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the 5 just sitting out the front, and I'm going to open a bracket, and I'm going to expand these two brackets here into a bracket below. So to do FOIL, F stands for first, x times x is x squared. Outside is x times 2, which is 2x. Inside is 1 times x is 1x, or just x. And last, 1 times 2 is 2. Okay. Then we would like to collect up these middle two terms here. So let's just write that again. 5 out the front, the x squared, and I'm going to add those together. 2x plus x is 3x, and plus 2. Okay, once that is all expanded and collected nicely, then we can expand the 5 through that bracket as well. So 5 times x squared is 5x squared. 5 times 3x is 15x. And 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, and that is expanded and simplified. Question 3, let's have a look. What do we have? Well, we have one bracket here with a squared on it. That's going to be a perfect square expansion. And then I just have one bracket here with a 4 out the front. That's just going to be a very simple one bracket expansion where we expand that 4 in. Okay, so let's do our perfect square. With the perfect square, we need to times the first thing by itself. 3x times 3x is 9x squared. Then we have the middle terms that we need to double. So I do 1 times 3x, which is 3x, and double that is 6x. And then I do the last thing in the bracket times by itself. 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, that's the perfect square expansion that we learnt a few lessons ago. Now I need to expand this bracket as well. I need to times the minus 4 with the x, minus 4x, and minus 4 times 5 is minus 20. Okay, now looking for things that are like terms. I have 6x and minus 4x are like terms, and a plus 1 and a minus 20. So leave the 9x squared first. 6x minus 4x is a positive 2x. And 1 minus 20 is negative 19. Okay, hopefully you're staying with me so far. Let's try question 4. M plus 3, M minus 3. The brackets are the same except that one is a plus and one's a minus. That's going to be a difference of 2 squares expansion. Then I have n plus 3, n minus 3. Oh look, that's a difference of 2 squares again. Alright, so let's expand these out. The first one. To do a difference of 2 squares, we just have to do the first with the first. M times m is m squared. And the last thing with the last thing, 3 times minus 3 is minus 9. Now I need to do the same thing with these other brackets over here. But whenever there is a minus sign separating brackets like these, you need to be really, really careful. So what I like to do is put my minus sign down and open up brackets to expand, and then I can deal with the minus sign later. So to expand this out, I do first times first, n times n is n squared, and last times last, which is minus 9. Okay, now that I've done the expanding part of the difference of 2 squares there, I can expand the minus into that bracket. Okay, so that will become a minus n squared, and a minus and a minus will become a plus 9. Okay, so that's why minuses are extra tricky, because it changes all your signs around. You might find as you get better at this that you may be able to expand the minus through at the same time that you're doing a difference of 2 squares, but it's always better to do the extra step and get it right than to make a silly mistake. So what have we got here that we can collect up? Minus 9 plus 9, they're actually going to cancel out. So all that is left is m squared minus n squared. Alright, question 5. We have a 3, then we have a bracket square, so there's a perfect square, and another one bracket there to expand. So a number out the front, we need to leave it there and expand out our perfect square first. So the perfect square, we do x times x is x squared. Then we times both of these together. 2 times x is 2x, and we have to double that to get 4x. And then we do the 2 times 2, which is 4. Okay, then expanding this bracket, 5 times x is 5x, and 5 times 2 is a 10. Now we can expand the 3 into that bracket, so it's 3x squared plus 3 times 4 is 12x, and 3 times 4 again, another 12, plus the 5x sitting on the end and the 10. Once everything's expanded, we can look for like terms. So 12x and 5x, 12 and 10. Okay, let's collect up. 3x squared is all by itself. 12x plus 5x is 17x, and 12 plus 10 is 22. Okay, so question 6. The questions can get as big as they like. This one's actually got 3 different sets of brackets to expand out. It just makes the question longer. You just need to be careful with your minus signs and things like that to not make any silly mistakes. One silly little mistake can wreck your whole answer. Okay, so h minus 1, h plus 1, the brackets are the same except one's a plus and one's a minus. So that's a difference of 2 squares. So for that we do first times first, which is h times h, h squared, and last times last. Minus 1 times 1 is minus 1. For the second bracket, we have one thing all squared. There's a perfect square. So to expand a perfect square, we need to do the h times h, h squared. Then we times both things together. 1 times h is h, but then we have to times that by 2, so it'll become 2h. And we do the last thing, 1 times 1 is 1. And we have another perfect square here, so we do the same thing again. H times h is h squared. H times 1 is minus h, and double it, minus 2h. And last times last, 1 times 1 is a positive 1. Okay, looking for things that we can collect up. H squared, and h squared. Look at that. 1, 2, 3 of them, all positive. So that's going to be 3h squared. Okay, now looking for my h terms. 2h and minus 2h, they're going to cancel off. One's a plus, one's a minus, so they disappear. Now with the ones, I have minus 1, plus 1, oh, they cancel off, plus another 1. So there'll be a plus 1 sitting here at the end. And that big horrible thing there expanded out to become quite a nice little neat expression. Okay, over the page, it's time for you to have a try of these questions. So these are very similar to the ones that I've just done. If you pause the video, have a try of these questions, and then restart the video and we'll go through them together. Okay, question 1. Let's expand out. We just have one bracket here to expand, so we just have to do 7x times x is 7x squared. 7x times a minus 3 is minus 21x. And this minus 2x squared isn't part of the bracket, it's just sitting there at the end. Now let's just look for any like terms. 7x squared and a minus 2x squared will become a 5x squared, and the minus 21x sits at the end. Question 2, I have a bracket squared, so it's a perfect square. So we will do y times y is y squared. The middle terms, we do the 1 times the y, which is 1y, but then we have to times that by 2, so it'll become 2y. And the last thing, which is 1 times itself, 1 times 1 is 1. Then a 1 bracket expansion, 6 times y, 6y, and 6 times 4 is 24. Looking for like terms, well, there's only one y squared. 2y plus 6y becomes 8y, and positive 1 plus 24 is plus 25. Let's look at question 3. 5x plus 1 and 3x plus 1. Well, they're close, but they're not the same, so I'll need to do a FOIL expansion for that. So first will be those ones, so that'll be 15x squared. Then we do outside, 5x times 1 is 5x. Inside, 1 times 3x is 3x. And last, 1 times 1 is 1. Then we have a minus, and I might just slip this under here because I'm not going to be able to fit it otherwise. Minus, open a bracket. Whenever you have a minus with an expansion, open a bracket. 5x minus 1, 3x minus 1. Okay, they're different again, so it's another FOIL expansion. 5x times 3x is 15x squared. That was those ones. 5x times minus 1 is minus 5x. Inside, we minus 3x. And last, minus 1 times minus 1 is a plus 1. Close bracket. Okay, then we want to expand the minus into this bracket. So we're basically writing it all again. Let's write it small enough, hopefully, to fit on. 15x squared. We can collect up these terms as we go. 5x plus 3x is 8x plus 1. Then I'm going to have a minus 15x squared. If I add these things, or collect these ones here, minus 5 minus 3 is minus 8. But when I expand the minus through, it'll become a plus 8x. And minus 3 there will become a minus 1. But there is still more collecting up to be done. 15x squared minus 15x squared is nothing. 8x plus 8x is 16x, and 1 minus 1 cancels off. So it all comes down to a 16x. Okay, question 4. We have a 3 at the front, so it's going to have to stay there while I do the expansion here of these brackets. X minus 1, x plus 1, they're the same except for a plus and a minus, so it is a difference of 2 squares. We do first times first is x squared, and last times last is minus 1. Okay, this one has a number in the front as well, so leave the 2 there. This time we have a perfect square. So to do a perfect square, we do x times x is x squared. X times 1 is x, and we have to times that by 2 to get 2x. And then last, which is 1 times 1, is 1. Okay, so it's all expanded, that's expanded. Now expanding our numbers into those brackets, we get 3x squared, and 3 times minus 1 is minus 3. Then we're going to get 2 times x squared, so 2x squared. 2 times 2x makes 4x, and 2 times 1 makes 2. Now we can collect up our like terms. 3x squared plus 2x squared is 5x squared. Then my x term, I just have one of them, so 4x. But I have minus 3 and plus 2 that can go together to give me a negative 1. And there's the answer. Don't be discouraged if you're finding that you're just making one tiny little mistake here or there, just missing a minus sign somewhere. It's a silly little timesing error, can just throw the whole answer out, and it just takes practice. Keep practicing and you'll find you'll get better and better at it. Okay, one more question, question 5. 3 things to expand out here. So the first one is a perfect square. So d times d is d squared. D times 2 is 2d, but then we have to double that again to become 4d. Then 2 times 2 is 4. That's the first bracket. Okay, second bracket, plus. Alright, d times d is d squared. D times 3 is 3d, and double it to be 6d. And 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, then the last one here, I'm going to do a minus, and then I'm going to open a bracket, and this will have to be a FOIL expansion. D times d is d squared. D times 3 is 3d. 2 times d is 2d. And 2 times 3 is 6. Close bracket. Okay, so trying to collect up a little bit here, but also expand this minus through. D squared and d squared would make, let's put a little line down here to not confuse with that other question over there. D squared and d squared is 2d squared. That's that one and that one done. They don't cancel out. Maybe I should have underlined them. 4d plus 6d is 10d. And 4 plus 9 is 13. Then I'll expand this minus sign in. So minus d squared. 3d plus 2d is 5d. But with the minus sign, it'll become a minus 5d. And minus 3 there will make that a minus 6. Okay, any more collecting up? Yes, there is. 2d squared minus d squared is a 1d squared, just d squared. 10d minus 5d, 10 minus 5 is 5d. And 13 minus 6 is a positive 7. There you are. Okay, keep practicing those and join me next time, and I'll see you later. Bye.